Hi and welcome. I'm Kristine Lopez with Homes by Kristine and co-founder of Elevate Vision. Now today I have my good friend with me, Tracey Stillman from Movement Mortgage. Hi Tracey.
Hi, Kristine.
Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, 100%. How are you?
I'm so good. So Tracey is really this amazing person. I met here in California and I've done a lot of transactions with her, including some of my own personal transactions, and mine was quite difficult. And she is now in Texas, but she services Texas, Colorado, and California. Is that correct?
And I added Kansas and Missouri.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So she does mortgages and she's literally out here like every month. We go to lunch every month and we catch up, and she still services a lot of my clients. But the reason I asked her here is because we have been running into a lot of issues, lending issues with buyers. As we all know, there's a million buyers out there and not enough inventory, which is like the story of every state, but California is the worst. So we recently have tried to qualify, like I bring people to Tracey all the time, like, hey, I need you to qualify them. And sometimes it's just a regular pre-qualification isn't good enough. So Tracey, what are you seeing right now, especially with our California buyers that need to be done before you even step foot in looking at a house?
Such a good question. Really, they need to be pretty much underwritten. And my company and my team, well, I've been doing this for 32 years, so a very long time. I have a full team behind me, but at Movement, we upfront underwrite. So our clients, I know before you take them out shopping whether we're going to be able to do the loan or not. And I won't let my buying agents go out with a buyer unless I know confidently that you can go and find them a home. Once we are, under contract, and to get under contract, I require that I call the listing agent. I have a lengthy conversation with the listing agent. I talk about assets, income, credit, all the pieces that go together to make a buyer look good, right? Showing that you have the money is huge in California. Like here in Texas, Colorado, you don't really have to show proof of funds, but in California, 100% have to show proof of funds. And the pre-approval is a true pre-approval. It's not a pre-qualification. Big difference. A pre-qualification versus a pre-approval is basically someone just pulling your credit. Pulling your credit means nothing really, other than you're credit worthy. There's so many other pieces. Right, exactly. There's so many other pieces that go to being pre-approved. So I call the agent, the listing agent. I basically have the file underwritten, run by DU, run by Freddie or Fannie, desktop underwriting. If you don't know what that is, Fannie and Freddie.
DU. I just found that out the other day because I was like, Tracey, what's a DU?
Yeah, so desktop underwriting. And there's Fannie and there's Freddie. And it just depends on when I'm looking at why I'm using Fannie or Freddie. And really that doesn't pertain to you or the buyer. That's just the way I'm gonna get the best pricing probably for the file. So that's but it's desktop underwriting. So basically, once it's desktop underwritten and it looks good, and now if you're self-employed, that borrower goes to my head underwriter at Movement.
I'm going to be a testament to this one because I am self-employed, and Tracey helped me do a refi, and it is a little bit more involved. So if you are a self-employed buyer, there is a little bit more of a process that you have to go through. But for your standard buying qualifications, that's mostly what you're talking about.
Exactly. And I'm looking at when you are coming to me. I'm going to be looking at your W-2s for the last 2 years. I'm going to be looking at your latest pay stubs. I'm going to be looking at your bank account. I'm going to be looking at your credit, obviously. But mainly I'm going to really make sure that your income qualifies for what I'm going to send your agent out shopping for, because we all know that gas is not cheap. So those are kind of the things that I insist on. And I'm very upfront with my buyers. I'll tell them right off the bat, if I can't qualify you, then we're probably going to have to put you into a plan.
Yeah. And I've personally had you do this to a couple of my clients where I send them to you because they send me the house that they want to go see, like, yesterday. And I said, wait a minute. Are you even qualified? Because you're going to waste their time, my time, everybody's time, and their own time, frankly. And I send them to you and to find out that they're not qualified. And then you set them up for a plan. This is what you need to do. You need to do X, Y, and Z to get to your goal point. And that's something I really appreciate about you. You don't just write that person off.
No, I really try hard to, I think homeownership is such an, it's passive wealth. And, in California, you got to find ways to have passive wealth there. And so, yes. So if somebody is not ready to go, I'm going to tell them, we're going to put you into a credit repair program, which I have I don't do credit repair, but I have an amazing company that I refer out to, and they're fantastic. They're about a 95% success rate getting someone to a 700 FICO. So I interviewed for 5 years. I fired and hired and fired and hired all these credit repair people till I found the right people. So that's the first thing. If your credit is not in the right place, that's where we're going to go first. If you're self-employed and you show me your income and you're not showing the IRS money, I'm going to tell you this is how much money you're going to have to show the IRS. And normally what I'll tell someone that's self-employed is just 1 year. You're going to have to sacrifice 1 year of filing to the IRS and showing them enough income to qualify for a mortgage. Once you qualify for that mortgage and you're okay with not refining, probably, unless you want to refi, then you got to start all over and show the IRS again. But I'm not expecting you to show the IRS income every single year. It's just for that year that I need to qualify you for. So I will have that conversation with you. I will look at your tax return and be like, yeah, that's not going to work. And I'll tell you exactly how much you need to show the IRS.
Oh, and she'll tell you. I mean, she told me several times. She's like, that's not going to work. Yeah, she won't hold back. And one of the things I really appreciate, we worked on a deal together in December. And I'm sure you recall this one. And there was, I think, 3 or 4 other offers, including, I think there's 3 other offers. Mine was the 4th. And ours was not the highest offer. And Tracey called the listing agent for me. And she basically is the reason why I got the sale and why my buyer got this house. And it was just so qualified, and she was so open, and she let the listing agent know the entire process so he could tell his buyer or his sellers. And she literally won me this listing. I wouldn't have done it without you. Thank God.
Well, I mean, that's what you get with me. I do remember Jesse Gomez, I think it was our listing agent, and now he's a client of mine. But people do know me in the Westlake, Thousand Oaks area, as I am a pretty consistent lender. You're not going to, like I said, you're not going to find me not closing loans. I think I don't really originate a loan unless I can do it. So I'm pretty much a 98, 99%, contract to close. So.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I'm a testament to that as well. Probably getting a little too personal. I mean, Tracey, my whole deal, but went through a divorce and 15 years of being married and not having any credit history at all. It took me over a year because my ex was on my title to my new house because he co-signed. Long story. But Tracey was able to get me to a point. She put me on a plan. Even though I had enough income, I didn't have enough income or credit history from the years prior. So she put me on a 1-year plan. It took us a year to get me refied, but she did it. And she told me exactly what to do and exactly what not to do. So I'm just saying, for my own personal, again, my own stuff, she's done other business deals for me. Yeah. So I trust her. I trust her with my money.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Kristine, and you're a joy to work with. And it also takes, and also going back to getting an offer accepted, you got to have a good working relationship with a buying agent, with the lender, with a listing agent. They all have to be copacetic and working together to get the deal done. It's just, especially in California, I try very, very hard to make sure that the relationship with the listing agent, I call them once a week. There is an update, goes out once a week, telling them exactly where the transaction is at.
Yeah. Well, and also not BSing your client. A lot of times I've seen some lenders try to sugarcoat things and whatever else, and that's not going to get you anywhere. All it's going to do is frustrate all sides. And I like that you're super forthcoming. And I think it's why you have the success rate that you do, because you don't BS your way through it. You just tell them whether they like you or not.
It's sort of like when I was in college, you can only BS so long before it's going to catch up with you and you're not going to graduate college, right? Because you can't BS too long or you're going to be like not graduating. So it's kind of the same thing. I mean, and really all it does is waste people's time. And the buyers, what breaks my heart the most is when a buyer thinks they're going to buy this house, and then they get disappointed. And that just, I can't live with myself. So that doesn't usually happen. The only time something might happen, and I've had this happen, is they lose their job in the middle of the transaction, and there's nothing I can really do about that.
I bet you saw a lot of that during COVID.
I did. I saw it in COVID, and then also in the mid, when in 2007, 8, 9, obviously when the crash happened. But
that's not going to happen now.
no, and the market's crazy right now. Interest rates are up.
It's stable. Like, I feel like it's not 2008 unstable.
No.
Interest rates are going up, but the one thing that I think is interesting, and you could probably attest to this, is that while interest rates are going up, they're still lower than they have been in years past. We've just gotten so used to these like below 3% rates. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, historically speaking, if you look at a graph, you'll see that we're still well below rates where they were in the 9s. My first house I bought at 9.9%. I thought I was doing so good. But yeah, so historically speaking, they're still relatively low. And the one thing that I do when people have like their pre-approvals gotten stale, let's say I pre-approved them at 4% and now we're in the 5s. It does affect their buying power. So I literally, if you've been stale and you can't get a contract we're going to be constantly re-upping that pre-approval. And yes, you're probably going to lose a little bit of buying power. Okay. But it is kind of what it is.
Yeah. Because your interest rate goes up. So you might just have to budget. So what's the number one thing you would tell? Well, I know what you would tell me as an agent, but what's the number one thing that you would advise buyers as far as getting ready to purchase?
Yeah. So make sure before you come to a lender that you have looked at your credit. Really, you should be looking at your credit once every 90 days. You really should be looking at your credit. And if something doesn't look right, act on it. Don't wait till you're with me and then we can't do anything. Be proactive about your credit. That's the number one thing. The number two thing, save your money. Right? If you're thinking about buying a house, don't go buy a car, don't go all those kinds of things. Don't go buy new furniture. Try to be frugal in this moment when you're trying to purchase a house. Because once you purchase the house, you've got the house, right? So those are and make sure your income is stable as well. And I'm going to tell you if you're self-employed, whether it's stable or not. But if you're W-2, just make sure you're keeping that income stable.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting. I usually end up fielding these people before you do. A lot of times I get buyers coming to me and I'm like, hold the phone. Then I have to send them to you. And then you're like, hold the phone. Have you even done any of this? So that's why I asked that question. What do you 100%. Need to do? So check your credit, don't spend. And what was the third one?
Don't spend, save your money, and keep your income stable.
Right. Okay.
Don't quit a job or think about, you may not, looking for a job and looking for a house at the same time doesn't work. So don't do that.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, awesome. Well, Tracey, I appreciate all your tips and you've been such a joy to work with. And I know we're going to work on so many more.
Yes. So. You're my near and dear friend. And that's what's great about when you have a partnership that works as well as we do. So I'm going
to tell you guys how I met Tracey. It's actually a funny story. If you guys are from Thousand Oaks, there's a little bar called Oak and Iron and super expensive drinks, but they're really, really good. And we're there and there was probably like 3 other people in there and she was talking and I was talking and she was saying something and I'm like, I'm a realtor. She's like, I'm a lender. And we've been friends ever since. It was so stupid. Leave it to alcohol in a bar. A realtor, it's like the beginning of a bad joke. Here's the realtor and the lender in a bar.
Instead of the Sweet Home Alabama, there's a baby in a bar. It's a realtor and a lender in a bar. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, that was fun.
There was a lot of drinking.
Exactly. Was that 3 years ago? I think it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you and I'm here for you all. You know that. I pick up the phone when you call.
Absolutely. And I'm going to put all of Tracey's information in the bio. And until next time, Tracey, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristine. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.